PW Fan. The PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for the fans. And thank you for joining us. This is episode 66, and we are joining you from all around this beautiful country this week. Andy is coming to us live from Pensacola, Florida, home of Roman Reigns, the Usos, Road Dogg, the Rock and Roll Express, so on and so forth. Florida Championship Wrestling. Need I go on? Anyway, I am your host, the old school grumpy wrestling fan, collector, barber, and musician, Talk Wrestling, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Funko Pop collector, and Steelers fan, beating the Ravens last night. Woo! That was a nerve-wracking game.
They suck, you.
They suck, you.
And I'm also your host, the no-selling wrestling indie fan and football lover, Jeremy.
Well, guys, it is great to be back another week. I'm so happy to see the both of you. This is the highlight of my week, doing this every week. In this episode, we will be covering Dangerous Breed, the Teddy Hart documentary, Samoa Joe and Wardlow, and John Cena closes the year out on Smackdown. But first, before we get started, guys and girls, please go over to youtube.com, search the PW Fan. Please subscribe to our channel. We would really appreciate it. We got merch on ProWrestlingTees.com/the PW Fan. 5 shirt designs, 3 different PW Fan logo shirts, and 2 Booker Andy shirts, which are personally my favorite.
Booker Andy.
I just saw some of the photos of some people wearing them in person, and they look great. The white one is really cool. I didn't think I was going to like it as much, but wow, it's really awesome. For all other social media, you can find us by looking up at the PW Fan. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff, follow. We should pop right up by searching at the PW Fan. Well, Booker Andy, I'm going to pass it over to you, like always. And, hey, man, you're joining us live via satellite, as they say, from Pensacola, Florida.
Maybe I should change my nickname to opening the show in 2023 to Booker Andy instead of the architect.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, you're the architect, Booker Andy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe that'll be it.
Because the shirt has the architect on the front.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. I'll add that.
It's branding, pal.
Exactly. Okay, so this week there was no Raw. I guess they do this every year, and I just forget about it. Like, one of the last shows, they don't do it for Raw and SmackDown, but whatever is like the first of the last 2, they do like a recap of like the best of, right?
Yeah, they still do a live show too, so technically it's still a new Raw.
I mean, they still, it's not just Raw moments. It's like they showed like some WrestleMania stuff. So, look, we didn't even watch it because we were doing this all year long. We covered whatever they probably were talking about. So, we are not going to talk about Raw this week because there was nothing new. I do want to say, though, I think it was the day after Raw on a live event, AJ Styles got hurt at a house show. He broke his ankle.
Sucks.
The worst timing ever.
Yeah, it's not a surgery thing, apparently. So hopefully he'll just stay off of it. But I was hoping to see him in the Rumble and maybe some surprises, some cool interactions.
So he should be back for
Mania. I don't know if he
Mania.
won't be in the Rumble or not. He should definitely be back for Mania. But
did you guys ever notice in wrestling, like, no matter how stacked the roster is, there's always like 3 freaking dudes who are always hurt. So like, it's never like peak. Everybody's there at one time. Like, because now AJ's going to be gone, but Cody's going to come back. And it's like, dude, no one's ever just all there at the same time. Like, they're just, someone's always hurt.
They're there for like a night when they were like debut or something like that, and then it's like it never happens again.
Yeah, I mean, God, it's happened so many times. I mean, all the way back to, I can remember, like, when Finn got called up from NXT, he faces Roman, he faces Seth. And then he breaks his arm, and then he's off TV. I'm like, and then, Cody comes in from AEW, huge debut, is going to be like the main guy, and then he tears his fucking pec. Punk comes in, wins the belt twice. He gets hurt twice. I'm like, why does this shit always happen?
I was watching a clip recently, but it's an old SmackDown when it was like the circles on the Titantron, that
right.
got smaller.
Yeah.
And it was like it was a 6-man tag. It was Stone Cold, Undertaker, and Kurt Angle versus like Triple H, Rikishi, or Kane or The Rock or something like that. It was just like, watching at that time, you didn't realize how big of stars that were. Looking back, you're like, damn, that's a stacked fucking match.
You're like, that's SmackDown? You're like,
yeah, like the SmackDown main event. It was like, what?
Just a normal main event on SmackDown.
Cold on SmackDown.
It was just like, oh my god, those are all like Hall of Famers, right?
Yes, yeah, you just don't realize,
So after Raw, I wasn't going to talk about Dangerous Breed, but I feel like we should actually end on Dangerous Breed instead of ending on Rampage. I think it'd be a better ending. So I'm going to switch it up. I know Tim said we were going to talk about Dangerous Breed first, which is about Teddy Hart, but I'm going to end with that. So let's move on to Dynamite. Dynamite was their New Year's Smash show. We had Bryan Danielson versus Ethan Page. And I believe MJF was up in the rafters watching this match and kind of talked a lot of shit beforehand. It seems like the direction they're going is Bryan Danielson versus MJF.
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely, I think, what the
100%,
his next opponent's going to be. Good match. I don't like Ethan Page, but he is a good, solid worker, solid wrestler. He's annoying to me. And he gets paired up with people like Stokely Hathaway and stuff. I'm just like,
yeah, his like character or gimmick or whatever you want to call it is very boring. Like, there's nothing special about it at all.
Yeah, it's just generic wrestler number 2.
Yeah, it's basically, his music is even generic wrestling theme number 2.
Now, he used to be partnered with Scorpio Sky. Is Scorpio Sky injured? I've not seen him in a long time.
I think he is, but I also don't think they have anything for him too.
Okay. So after that, we had Samoa Joe. He attacked Wardlow backstage during an interview that Wardlow was having. The main event of the show is supposed to be Wardlow versus Samoa Joe, so Samoa Joe's just kind of taking him out before the main event. We had Top Flight versus Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. Winners for Claudio and Mox. Interesting pairing between the two teams.
It was a good match too.
Yeah, it was a good match.
If Top Flight
can not get injured or have in a car accident or something,
stay healthy.
I don't know if I've ever seen a bad Top Flight match, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because they only have had like 5 and then they get hurt.
Yeah. But even like singles matches, like every Dante Martin match is pretty good.
Yeah. And they're only like, I think like, 22, 23?
They're young. They're really young, yeah.
Yeah.
We had Hangman Page backstage saying that he could be back in the ring in 2 weeks. He said if he does what the doctors tell him, he could be back in the ring 2 weeks. I don't know what part of that's true because he did have a concussion. But he has been brawling, and really, if you're in the on the list, no compete list, you don't do anything like that.
I've never, I'm honest, I don't know if it's because of the CM Punk thing or what, or just because of stupid shit that he said in interviews, but like, he's on my list of guys that I do not like. I do not like Hangman Page at all. I don't think I've like openly said that on the show, but like, I'm not in. I'm out.
I've never liked him. I didn't care too much about him when we saw Best in the World, ROH's pay-per-view a couple years ago, and he faced Punishment Martinez. I just never understood the hype. Yeah. Everyone like loved him, like all around me, and I was just like,
yeah. I feel like it's kind of the same for me too. But I feel like at this point he kind of needs to turn heel or something because
he would be better as
kind of boring.
Yeah, he'd be better as a heel because he's annoying. So him just being him being himself just makes me like not like him. Him thinking, you know what? Let's just go there. Him thinking that he's some hot shit and that he doesn't need to ask any veterans for advice.
Defender. So
I am a CM, but no, I was gonna. I wrote this in my notes. And then now's the perfect time to bring it up. I'm going off on a quick tangent here, so bear with me, people. But I just watched I just read an article of or transcript of Dax from FTR talking
I read that
about
too.
Yeah, and just how after their match he went to Punk's locker room. Punk asked him to go there, and he gave all the people, a lot of the roster, $500 each to Starbucks because he knew they all love coffee. And he said, I just want you to know I'm going to be working with each one of you individually. And as I know it's not a lot, but here's something to just show that I'm grateful and happy to be here. And
apparently he didn't even want to be champion.
No, I think
this is what I read.
I think still that there's way more to the story than meets the eye. And
that's what Dax said. He's like, I think there's still some stuff that's not being said on both sides.
But here's the best part. I can just picture Meltzer being like, okay, so here's what happened. So it was actually Punk threw the boiling hot coffee in all their faces.
No. See, Brian, that's not what happened. That's not
no. So I know what happened, Brian. So he actually took the Starbucks gift cards and shoved them all up their asses.
Dave, we know you're watching. Yeah, I just want to stop talking about Hangman Page. We're just gonna move on.
Yeah.
No, but that is
I'm bitter. I'm a bitter CM Punk fan. I'm pissed off that we only got 1 year, and I'm pissed off that anytime you read shit online, everybody turned their back on him. Because I understand that he acted inappropriately at one thing, like we all have our days, but he thought somebody was talking shit about him. He called him out to their face, and then a bunch of stuff transpired in the back that we don't really know what happened. But all of a sudden, like, all these same people that were like, oh, my God, I love CM Punk, he's back. They're like, oh, CM Punk sucks. I'm like, bro, you weren't even there. You don't know what happened. I don't know. That stuff just gets on my nerves.
Well, if you want to hear or read more about what Tim's talking about, you can look up, like, a Dax Harwood interview. It's whatever is the most recent one, basically. And he goes in a lot more detail about Punk calling him or him calling Punk after, like, what ensued backstage and all that stuff.
The one thing I'll just add on to that for the last point, when I think Hardwood ended with saying, like, if we can all just figure out a way, there's 4 guys, figure out a way just to put it behind them, and they can basically change wrestling forever, is what he said.
And make a lot of money. And apparently Punk tweeted out something like he
just commented and said, duh.
Like, yeah, he's like, duh, yeah, let's make a lot of money. Yeah. But guess we'll see.
And
the league will never work with them.
But then, I'm sorry, but then you got fucking guys like Chris Jericho that are, publicly saying, I'll make sure that CM Punk never comes back to AEW. It's like, great. So we got to see more of you. Can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Dude, he's a wizard.
The Ocho.
Fireballs. He threw a fireball last week, I think. And actually Andretti.
And if you don't like Chris Jericho's brand of comedy, according to Chris Jericho, you have no soul. If you didn't like the Stadium Stampede match from 3 years ago, he said you don't like wrestling and you have no soul. That's an exact quote.
It's terrible. Well, let's move on.
I'm red ass Tim. I'm red ass talk wrestling Tim tonight.
He's blood red curdling, man.
I'm a little fired up.
We had a confrontation in the ring with Big Bill and Hook, and this was kind of interesting. Hook goes for I forget what kind of suplex it is, but it's like their belly to belly, but then when he throws him over him, Tim, he goes into a bridge and holds on. Belly suplex, but you hold on.
You
go into like a bridge.
You go into the bridge.
It's what Hook does all the time.
Is it a pin?
Yeah, he goes into a pin all the time.
Yeah, it's
typically you would.
That's a very Taz, if anybody doesn't know, Taz, Hook's dad, was known as so weird that it's been so long that we have to refer to it as like it was like a long fucking time ago, but it was. Hook's dad was referred to as the human suplex machine, Taz. So Taz would do a lot of suplexes like that, T-bones and different bridges and stuff like that. Cool shit.
Well, Hook does it all the time, and he went to do it. It wasn't even a match. Big Bill and Stokely Hathaway came out after Hook's match, and they got into it. He went to do that move, but Big Bill was just kind of too big.
The crowd was ready to go crazy for it, though.
I was going to say, well, the reason why I wanted to bring this up, because it was a really interesting tease. The crowd was like, oh, shit. But Big Bill ended up, I hate his fucking name, and I hate saying it.
That's horrible.
Ended up grabbing Hook into a choke slam and holding him up, but before he could do it, Darby Allin, or no, Jungle Boy came out. Darby Allin interrupted something else in the main event. Jungle Boy came out, who had been, thrown in a dumpster or something the week or two before?
Yeah.
Backstage by Big Bill. So it seems like that's what the feud is going forward, but maybe we'll have a tag team match with Jungle Boy and Hook versus Big Bill and someone else part of the firm or
whatever that guy's name is.
How many people are in there? Lee Moriarty?
Yeah, that guy,
Yeah. So we had Wheeler Yuta interrupting Mogul Affiliates interview. I gotta get used to saying that. We still don't know the one guy's name with all the tattoos and the face tattoo and the terrible hairdo. Parker Boudreaux was backstage. I don't really like this group, but this was to set up the main event of Rampage this week, which was going to be Swerve Strickland versus Wheeler Yuta, which we'll talk about when we get to it. We had match 6 of 7. It was a Falls Count Anywhere, the Elite versus Death Triangle. This was kind of fun for a Falls Count Anywhere match. It was literally it started right away, or it started backstage, I believe. They didn't have
the Elite attacked in backstage.
Winners were the Elite though in the end, so now it's a tie. Of course, they're not going to not make 7 matches,
Yeah.
So now it's 3-3. I guess it's next week, or are they going to wait?
No, the week after, because it's going to be in LA.
Okay. So
it's a ladder match then, too.
It's a ladder match. Okay, so that'll be the last, and the Elite will probably win.
Yeah.
Just saying. The Acclaim had another music video, and there was some controversy in it. Jeff Jarrett's wife was not a fan, because there was a line in there that says, stealing all your money like Kurt Angle's wife. Kurt Angle's ex-wife is Jeff Jarrett's current wife, I believe. Yeah. And she took to Twitter and kind of freaked out about it.
Dude, there's even more to that.
Just done.
There's even more to that story now. I was just seeing today before we all got on. So now, here's the latest. Karen Jarrett hashtagged that she was she's still going on about it. I'll pull up the exact tweet in a second. And she said that she hashtagged Dawn Marie, Kelly, all these people basically saying Kurt Angle had an affair way before I was getting with Jeff Jarrett or whatever. And Kelly responded.
These poor girls haven't heard anything in a while, and they're like, why am I getting dragged into this?
Yeah, literally. No, that's what Kelly said. She was she's like, I have inboxed Karen Jarrett. I'm still waiting to hear a reply. But she was like, the only way I know Kurt Angle is as my coworker. But thanks for the Monday morning the Monday morning entertainment. So it's Karen, it was a joke.
Yeah.
You might not have liked it,
also,
but let it go.
Also, they work on the same company as Jeff Jarrett. Just let it play out.
Yeah.
He tried to, but he's rhyming things with wrestling, and his raps are supposed to be edgy. I'm sure he's not up at night thinking about wow, I can't believe Karen Jarrett cheated on Kurt Angle.
You're also not the first he's attacked in his raps. Get over it.
Right.
It was just a joke.
Anything that Jarrett's do, I don't really like, anyways. Both of them.
The main event, though, of Dynamite was Wardlow versus Samoa Joe. I believe it was for the TNT Championship.
Yeah.
Winner was Samoa Joe. He choked out Wardlow. Wardlow didn't tap. It was just a pass out kind of thing. Joe then, I don't know why they did this. The only way to make it look better is if he shaves it, but he cut the ponytail of Wardlow's hair. And Wardlow already has the sides shaved, so now it's just he's going to have to shave it. Right? Yeah. There's no saving that.
Right, Tim?
Unless he comes out like a Brian Cage mohawk.
Okay.
Mohawk.
let me give you my barber point of view here. All right. I don't know who Wardlow's barber is, but bruh, you were pushing his hairline back so far. Like, why would you shape him up when he had a long ponytail on top? I don't understand that. So now his hairline, he is like half a buzz cut in the front, and then he had a man bun, and now you cut the man bun, so now he's gonna have a middle part with a shaped up front. You just gotta shave. You just gotta shave your head, dude.
Just buzz it.
You like Andy's right now. You got to take a number 2 or 3 and just hit it all over. Start over, bro. I'm telling you, it's the only way.
Well, after he cut his hair, Darby Allin ended up coming out and attacking. Because I don't know if you remember, a couple weeks ago they had a match where Joe basically destroyed him.
I feel like no one ever talks about this, like a hair thing, hair in wrestling, hair versus hair, or cutting somebody's hair. I would be so like freaking bummed if I showed up to work and they were like, by the way, we're going to cut all your hair off tonight. I'd be like, damn, I don't know if I want to do that, to be honest with you.
Kind of like when they made Ric Flair cut his hair. He was like, what?
Imagine both of you guys, like, okay, because you guys have shorter hair than me, but imagine you show up at work and you think it's going to be a normal day, and they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to shave both your heads bald. And then like you're just supposed to be like, yeah, I'm cool with that, just cause.
I'm a team player. Yeah,
it's like, nah, dude, I don't want to shave my fucking head bald.
So it seems like we're getting Darby versus Samoa Joe at least for a little bit or something.
Yeah.
But that wraps up Dynamite. Let's get into SmackDown. SmackDown opened up with Bray Wyatt this week. He talked about attacking the cameraman the week before, and how it was kind of not like him to do so. LA Knight ended up coming out and kind of kept calling him on his bullshit about apologizing. And Bray Wyatt basically was like, I tried to be nice, but he's like, you want a match? Let's have a match. And so they're going to have a match at a Rumble, and it's what they're calling a pitch black match.
Oh, God.
But it's sponsored by Mountain Dew Pitch Black, so that's why it's called a pitch black match, but I don't know what that means. What is a pitch black match? Like, if you look at the poster for their match, it shows Mountain Dew Pitch Black, and it's like pitch black match. Like,
oh, I hate that now so much.
I really hate that a lot, actually. It's kind of like, and we'll talk about this later, actually, classic show of the week, stick around. But it's like WCW used to put like fucking like Slim Jim logos in their like on the ropes and stuff. Like, I hate that kind. I don't know why. It just takes, dude. If they're naming, this is the first time I've ever heard of this actually, where they're naming the match after the product that they is being sponsored by. But if they do a cinematic match with all the lights out, I am going to be so annoyed as a fan. I will be like,
What if it's like pitch black, but it's like 2 spotlights just on them the whole time? Like, that would be so annoying to watch.
And it just
Bray
like traps them.
Can you please?
This is his first match back in months.
In months? Bray Wyatt's first match back in like a fucking year or whatever.
Since he's been back, but in a long time.
But can you please just have a normal match? God, with the lights on, with the referee.
Lights on.
In a ring, in an arena.
No cinematic, no worms, no fucking like self-driving lawnmowers. No red light. Please have a wrestling match.
Well, after after he challenges and this is announced, Uncle Howdy ends up coming out and he's standing next to Bray in the ring, looking at LA Knight, and Uncle Howdy turns and does a Sister Abigail to Bray. Uncle Howdy's mask was a little different than normal. The bottom was not there, the mouth part. Tim thinks he got the idea from the movie The Black Phone.
I 100% think that. Did you guys not look at that picture?
I did look at the picture. I've also seen the movie. You know what's funny about the movie is that the mask is 2 pieces. It's a top and it's a mouth, and he'll switch off between the full thing, just the mouth, or just the top.
Bray Wyatt is very influenced by cinema and music and all kinds of stuff. I would not put it past him that during his time off, he watched that movie. And he was like, this is fucking cool. I wonder if I could turn this into something for me.
Yep. Well, who do you guys think is under that mask? There's a picture comparison to him and Bo Dallas, and it looked like, if you saw that comparison, I don't know, but
if it's
like,
not
the hair was like spray painted gray and everything.
If it's not Bo Dallas, who is it?
People are saying it's this guy Vincent from ROH that and his buddy Dutch are coming over.
Who? What? No one cares. But so you're gonna
no one knows who he is.
I mean, honestly, not to
be
rude,
NXT, but
not to be rude, but having it be Bo Dallas, I don't think that many people are going to care either. But if you're going to really, I mean, it's been like 7 years since we've seen this guy, so it's like if you're going to bring over two guys from Ring of Honor or whatever, it's like, talk about crickets, dude. No one's going to make it. You've built this whole thing up that you're going to make this big reveal, and it's just going to be some guy. I don't know. I just can't buy into that.
I don't see who can it be that like you would know. Like who else would it be that under this?
That's character? Why I'm like, it has to be Bo Dallas because there's the family connection there.
Yeah.
I think, me personally, I think they kind of just were going into this. They didn't know what to do, and then everybody online was like, "Oh, it's going to be Bo Dallas." And that's what happens all the time. The fans online start getting like crazy enough to where the people that make the decisions are like, okay, well, what if it is Bo Dallas? Like, that's just my personal theory.
It's someone. It's someone that I feel like we know or have seen before. I don't think it's a random guy from ROH. That's just me. But it shows us backstage. Paul Heyman is outside the Bloodlines locker room with Sami Zayn, and basically Paul Heyman is making it seem like Roman is bothered that when he's in the ring, and Sami is too, that the crowd is just chanting Sami the whole time.
It's a good way to start turning on Sami.
Yeah. We had Solo Sikoa versus Sheamus. The winner was Solo Sikoa. Afterwards, he goes to do the same attack on Sheamus that he did to Riddle. Before he can do it, though, well, the move was him sitting in the corner with a chair around his neck, and I'd like to call it the ass bomb.
Yes.
Drew McIntyre returned to save Sheamus. We had Ronda Rousey versus Raquel Gonzalez for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Winner was Ronda. And then, while she's celebrating, Charlotte
I didn't really get this part.
Charlotte Flair returned with a little different music. And she challenges Ronda to a match tonight. And it's a very quick match. I don't know if Charlotte's just like, I haven't been training or something, but...
Hey, just real quick, since we're talking Flairs, before we close out the show, remind me, please, to bring up the Ric Flair Shane Douglas beef.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
So the match was pretty quick. In the end, Ronda puts Charlotte in an armbar, and Charlotte flips over and holds Ronda down into a pin. 1, 2, 3. Charlotte goes into the audience. She is now a 14-time women's champion. My God.
So many.
Gonna break her dad's streak.
Isn't she only like
why do you think they did this? Do you think it's the hate from Ronda being champ? Ronda
kind of sucked as champion.
Fucking sucks. It's boring.
Yeah, I mean, every time she had a mic, it was just cringy.
I hate it.
And she doesn't get better.
No.
She's better when she's just talking shit, being herself. I mean, she was funny on the mic in the UFC when she was actually angry. You know, it's just... Yeah.
But she knows that she's faking it, so it's not a natural anger now.
Yeah, and you can tell that it's fake.
Yeah.
Some people, when you're a fan, I've noticed, and I'm not saying I would do any better, but some people, when you're a fan and then you become a wrestler, you do what I call the wrestler promo. It's like what you think like a wrestler sounds and does.
Yeah.
it's like almost like an impersonation, and that's kind of like what I feel like she does, you know?
Yeah.
Because she was
People
a fan.
do better when they find their own voice. Yeah.
Right. But sometimes you just cut the wrestling promo, which is, you know what, tonight I'm going to go out there and I'm going to beat your ass or whatever. It's
the promo that you would do if I told you right now, cut a wrestling promo. You would do a
right.
You use all those keywords and everything in it too.
Yeah. We had a brawl between Imperium and Braun Strowman. Ricochet comes out to help. I don't know why this partnership's still going on. It's all leading to just Gunther versus Braun Strowman. We have the Bloodline again backstage, and this time Sami Zayn asks Roman if he's upset about the chants for his name, like Paul had brought up, and Roman says he wasn't. Then our main event was John Cena and Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. Kevin Owens comes out first, and Cena's music hits. I'm popping at home.
As much as
seen Cena.
I know. I was going to say, as much as I hated him
around, I never liked Cena when he was around, man. And now,
the last few years, I was like, "Can you go away?" And now his music hits, and I'm like, "This is amazing."
So Cena and his bald spot returned for a match against Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. It took a while for Cena to get into the match. The match starts up. Roman and Kevin Owens looking at Cena, and Roman gives Owens a receipt for the slap in the eardrum at War Games, and Owens is busted open immediately for the rest of the match.
That was more than a receipt.
Yeah, this match was fun though. I thought it was a good main event. The stuff with Sami and Kevin was fun. Cena, he did his quick little 5 moves. That's what we really need.
Cena, no one else does his facial reactions or the over the top, I don't know what he does, but when he's trying to get tagged in,
he's the loudest for hearing. You can hear his calls in matches, and so when Owens and Sami were going to their sides, he's like slow, okay, tag, and then he gets up and you could just hear him calling.
They should they
so
need to
loud.
cut that audio of the camera that was right next to him. I'm like, why are you not cutting that audio?
Yeah.
But
I think this is the first match in years that Roman Reigns has lost televised match.
Yeah. I think so.
I was not expecting
even
that,
though it's a tag match.
I was, because it's Cena.
Yeah.
It was about Cena.
He still always wins.
I think we're getting though to Kevin Owens and Roman probably at the Rumble. Is what I assume is the story.
Then I feel like maybe Sami starts turning, and then it's Owens and Sami against the Usos.
Are starting to be planted.
Yeah.
Little by little. So before we get into Rampage, I was thinking, because I saw the betting odds for the Rumble this year for the ladies, who do you guys think women-wise is going to win the Rumble? I'm going with Rhea.
Oh, that's a good question.
The 2 favorites are Rhea and Becky Lynch. I'm saying Rhea.
Well, now that Charlotte is champion, and she's a babyface, right?
I don't know what she is. Mommy's going to win this, though. Also, can we talk about that? The Dominic Mysterio and Rhea going to his grandparents' house and then getting arrested.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I won't survive in jail, Mommy. Help me. WWE made a shirt with him in the back seat with the bars on the window, and he's sitting there and he's like, I won't survive jail.
The way
Mommy.
he said that too, and I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, who do you got women's for the Rumble? If you got to pick one.
I gotta say, I think I agree with you, man. I mean, Becky and Rhea are the obvious choices. I would love a good.
I would love
Bianca.
Becky versus Rhea at Mania.
Yeah.
Well, that would be good, but what about something a little bit different, like Bianca versus Rhea?
I think it's happened.
Yeah, but
she's just been champion.
Yeah, that's true.
Bianca's champ.
I would go with Becky because I don't feel like they're going to push Rhea to that point yet.
The rumor before was that it'd be Ronda versus Becky this year at Mania.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the plan now that Ronda's not the champ. If Ronda wins again, I'm fucking shoot someone.
It's going to be awful if she wins again.
But I'm going with Rhea. Rhea's, since the Judgment Day, it's funny, when the Judgment Day, it happens with everything in wrestling. The Judgment Day started, people are like, this is fucking stupid. Now it's coming to its own. Rhea is more popular. and people are thirsty for her. And, they talk about her a lot on the internet, and like she's kind of blown up. And the fans seem to be really into the face-off with her and Becky. And
I mean, look, I'm gonna say, just so before I say anything else, I think that she's a 10 out of 10 goddess, but it's so weird. You either see people that are like, oh my God, she's, so beautiful, or people are like, oh my God, no, not for me at all. It's like so polar. It's like one or the other. It's pretty interesting. But yeah, Rhea's great. That's all I'll say. As a married man, I'm going to keep it respectful.
Sorry, guys. In Florida, I even have pet problems here. I had to let it
Oh, my God. You're good, Andy.
It never stops, guys. It never stops.
You're the cats guy.
Listeners, when we're recording, I usually have a problem with dogs. My dogs.
I'm sure they know.
Florida, and
I'm sure they're aware.
But now, if you're a new listener,
we kept it in the episodes.
I know.
We're gonna have another shirt that says
down here.
We're gonna have another shirt that says
my dogs are barking.
No, it's gonna say Booker Andy #pet problems.
Yeah, there you go. It's a new one. And then who do you guys, if you had to pick one, men's Rumble?
I'm going Cody.
I'm going Cody. I'm not going Rock. Rock would be number 2, but I'm going Cody.
Rock can just show up and challenge.
Yeah. But that the Cena match wraps up SmackDown. Let's get into Rampage. The only thing I wanted to talk about was the main event. It was Swerve Strickland versus Wheeler Yuta. Winner was Swerve
barely
Strickland.
Worth
huh?
It's barely worth talking about.
Barely worth talking about. The only reason why I want to bring it up is because you have the ROH Pure Champion losing on TV. It's just odd.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if Swerve, they were just trying to have Swerve get over his new group.
Yeah, he needed it, I think.
Before we get into Dangerous Breed, if fans don't know, Wrestle Kingdom is 17 is this Wednesday. Usually we don't keep up with New Japan. I mean, we see headlines and stuff, but like we don't actually like watch it. But the last 2 matches on the card, if you're interested, are Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, and the main event is
amazing.
Jay White versus Okada for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship.
I mean, I feel like I'm the old school guy, right? Like I'm over here talking about fucking shit from 30 years ago, but even I want to see those 2 matches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then for the Carl Anderson, his
title.
It's No Something.
Yeah.
Why can't I? Whatever.
Yeah, I can see the name.
It's No Something. It's like 2 words. Or the Never. I don't know. Something. He's wrestling Tama Tonga, former or Bullet Club members. Both of them. And of course they have the big battle royal, and then I read all the other
weight.
never open
weight champion.
Yeah, I said no. And then the rest of the names I don't know because I don't watch New Japan. I know Kairi Sane is defending her women's championship to someone that I don't know. People are saying
Sasha.
People are saying Sasha Banks is going to be there, but there's no match book with like a mystery opponent. So maybe she shows up at the end of like the women's championship match.
She's a free agent starting January 1st.
So we'll see. But, if the guys watch even the last 2 matches, maybe we'll talk about them next week. So I'm going to be watching it here, or at least definitely those couple matches. Because I'll still be here.
Don't say the site where you're watching it from.
And I'll just text you guys. If you wanted to know, you could watch last week's episode and get them views up. But let's talk about Teddy Hart, guys. I feel like
here we go.
About Teddy Hart. I feel like we were talking about Teddy Hart.
We got to talk about
documentary came out a little while ago.
Well, hang on. We got to talk about something. We got to talk about the fact that we're a little late to the party on this.
That's what I just said.
Like you were about to say, this came out a little bit ago.
Watch it on Peacock. Everyone needs to watch it. Teddy Hart is insane.
Yeah, besides classic show of the week, like I have customers that come into the barbershop and they're like, so I was doing my homework. And I'm like, bro, you guys actually watch that stuff? I'm like, that's awesome. I love it. So if you're going to watch your classic show of the week homework, you guys have to go on Peacock and watch this. It's only 3 episodes.
It's on Peacock. It's called Dangerous Breed. It's a 3-part
horrible
documentary.
Human being.
He's a terrible human being. He is one of the many nephews of Bret Hart and his brothers and sisters. I believe Teddy's mom is her name is Georgia. I believe that's one of Bret's sisters.
Yeah, it's one of Bret's sisters. And
talented wrestler, at least back in 2012 when he was younger, but he's also scum of the earth. He claims to be the youngest wrestler ever signed by WWE. Boy, Jeff Hardy. They thought he was 18. He was 16.
Damn. That actually does refute his claim.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, and if not, then they signed when he was 18. He was also 18 then.
So he's not the youngest.
No, could be one of the. But if you go to his Instagram, it says the first thing in his profile on Instagram is youngest WWE signing ever. He was also the youngest, probably, and quickest to be fired because he wasn't "quote unquote" coachable.
And also, I mean, why is that something you're still bragging about when you're 40 years old? You're talking about something that you did when you're 18. That's like me. Yeah. Like I'm 32. That's like if like all I ever talked about was like, I used to be in a cool band when I was like 19. It's like sad. Well, it's like almost Sebastian
Maniscalco is talking about the men in their 30s talking about their high school football years. I mean, I was started quarterback, man. So episode 1 of Dangerous Breed is Crime, Cons, and Cats. He introduces us to Teddy Hart. He is living in Canada. He has his wrestling school inside what he calls a mansion. It is not. He has like 50 Persian cats that it sounds like I'm making it up as I'm telling it, I realize. He has like 50 Persian cats that he like breeds and raises and trains. I'm
a cat guy. I have 2 cats and we clean their litter boxes every day. I know the damage that they can do, just 2 cats can do in a litter box in a matter of 24 hours. Having how many Persian cats?
It was like 50 at least.
Dude, the smell of the ammonia from the urine alone, I can't even imagine, dude. It was probably so awful.
He also lives there with just his trainees. He just smokes blunts all day, and he injects himself with steroids. And he has a wife and a girlfriend who appear to be in a happy relationship with him, but he is not. I don't want to go through every single episodes, but basically, I don't know how to start or where to start to talk about it. Like,
I mean, if I can interject, the documentary is essentially there was a gentleman he's in throughout the whole show, and he thought that he was going to film back in 2000.
Reality star.
Yeah, he thought he's like, dude, this Teddy Hart guy's crazy. I'm gonna, he trains these cats. He's kind of an odd guy. I'm gonna make a great reality show.
Jesus, cats.
Yeah, ended up filming it for like 10 years.
So he films all this footage. He films all this footage and basically like realizes at a certain point, like, this guy's like not a good human being. Like, I don't think I want to be involved or even like around this person. Because
he
at
keeps
one point,
questioning how he feels about him because he's getting charged with stuff, but then his next girlfriends are like, "No, he's a super nice guy," and it's like, "All right, maybe these girls are wrong." And then they're at the hibachi grill, and he's like, "I'll choke you out right now.
I'll choke you right here."
He's like, "Put the cameras away," and she's like, "No, you wanted the cameras." He's like, "All right." He's just like, "One day someone's gonna shut your fucking mouth." It's like, Jesus Christ.
And then so that person that we're referring to is a lady, Majiko, who, if you're an indie wrestling fan, you might be familiar with her. But she's
at
somebody
the time of their dating, she was just starting her wrestling career. Correct?
Yeah, she was a valet. Yeah, she was a valet. And he said, "I need you to hold this cat," and she was like, "Wait, what?" And then she's like, I love cats. So
Mr. Money, man. It's Mr. Money. The cat. She still has them.
Yeah, she still has them, thankfully. All the cats are, the cats that they talk about in the documentary are fortunately safe and have a new owner. But,
it's a wild documentary.
That's why we're going.
That's why missing persons case.
That's why Andy and I are like sporadically like we don't really know how to describe it because it starts as you're learning about Teddy Hart, and then all of a sudden he meets this woman named Samantha. Andy, do you have the last name by any chance?
Fiddler.
Samantha Fiddler, and this lady, she goes missing, and
still missing to this day. 5 years.
Still missing this day.
That's crazy.
And she had three girls. I can't imagine as a father not talking to my kids for 4 years, not even giving them a phone call. So it's a really sad story. And I just want to point out, like, because the big part of the documentary is it does kind of make you think in the beginning, like, oh, he did it. Yeah, he did it, or he must have had something to do with it. I don't think that's the case. I think that
I wonder. Let me interject. I wonder if you agree with what I think. He did things that led her to be in the circumstances that led to her disappearance,
right?
Such as withholding her passport so she can't get back to Canada, and she's stranded in Florida, which eventually leads to things happening, and she disappears.
And she was left.
It's like a cause and effect thing in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, she was left. Even let's just say this, because we're gonna be fair, right? This is what
I still think he knows something, though. I still think he knows something.
Well, he also, the whole documentary keeps saying, like, oh, you'll never find her. And I'm like, okay, well, that's very matter of fact.
He said some things, it's like, you don't word it like that if you didn't know what was
He's like, you're wasting your time, you'll never find her. That. I'm like, it's a weird thing to say, like, I mean, you're saying that there's no chance. Yeah, like...
He's like, you don't do what you do if you're her. It's like, what does that mean? Like, he's like, she did it to herself. I was like, what?
Yeah, clearly knows something.
I mean, I just want to say that even if he didn't take her passport on purpose and it was in the glove compartment, as he says, or whatever, she still was put in a position where she was left essentially homeless.
Well, that's what I was saying, yeah.
And she had no resources or money to get back home. And I'm not going to blame.
Took her phone for a while when they were together.
Yeah, and I'm not going to blame her disappearance on him directly, because we're all human and we all have free will. And
it was a snowball effect, though.
Yeah, we can problem solve and figure things out, but it's the snowball effect of, she's not even from this country, and she got left in a pretty dangerous, part of the state of Florida. So, especially, and this is just my theory, Florida is, I'm sorry if we have Florida listeners, but Florida is well known for people getting kidnapped and getting put into sex trafficking. And that's my personal opinion of what I think happened to her. I think that if she's not still alive, or if she is still alive, that she's unfortunately being trafficked.
Well, she got out of jail and then was never seen again. Basically, she got out of jail.
She got her out of jail,
picked up by someone, or
called her sister at like 5 a.m. Her poor sister, who I feel terrible for, missed the phone call because it was so early. Mm-hmm. And then she was literally never heard from again. And
yeah, she called her. Yeah. She has 3 children. It's a sad story.
The only thing that makes sense is that when she got out of that jail that morning, that whoever she went with did not have her best interest in mind. Let's put it that way.
Whether Teddy Hart did or not, he's still a scumbag. After watching this documentary, he still sucks.
Yeah, like
Teddy Hart sucks.
Honestly, dude, like,
he's just a shithead.
Honestly, dude, like, and that's the thing. We're not even going to blame this shit on this guy, but it's like you could have at least had a little compassion for a person who had 3 daughters, and then you pretended that you didn't even know who they were. You know what I mean? That's
he's like, we weren't in a relationship. It's like you were acting like her kids were your kids, man. Denied even taking her passport, even though Machiko found it.
And Machiko has no reason to lie. She doesn't get anything out of this.
I don't know why she was hanging out with him again after. But
I think it's, again, he's one of the hearts, right? I was watching this with my wife, and she said the same thing. She said, why would anybody stay and hang out with this guy? And I said, you have to understand, in the pro wrestling world, if you think you're dating one of the hearts, you think like, oh my God, I'm
dating
the unsuccessful
heart.
Well, I'm sure he's manipulative enough to make them believe that he's somebody.
I don't have any more to add about it. I would just watch it if you're listening. It's really good. I mean, he's fascinating in a weird, like, crazy way.
And I'm not going to speak for Bro, but we had Bro on the show. Bro's actually wrestled Teddy Hart, and he said it was fine. He said it was, he was respectful and it wasn't weird.
He keeps getting booked. He's getting booked in Mexico recently.
And I just think it's one of those things where if I knew personally, that if I had fucked up and definitely done some stuff that, like, I knew that a person, I put them in a bad spot, I probably wouldn't want to publicly admit it. It would have been nice in the documentary if he had actually sincerely said, like, I'm sorry. Like, I wish that wouldn't have happened. But he didn't say that at all.
How do you feel about his facial hair?
Horrible.
My stepmom thought it was a tattoo. I was like, nah, that's his facial
tattoo.
And she also was like,
she
also watched the last episode with Andy, and she apparently was like, I hate this guy. And she didn't even.
5 minutes in, she's like, this guy sucks. She's like, hey,
5 minutes in.
Yeah, she didn't see any of the other episodes before. They were just in like the weight room, like interview part of, and she was like, I want to punch this guy in the face.
Well, and that's the thing. If you do watch the documentary, all the scenes where he's getting interviewed in the gym, in the weight room, it's very revealing of the kind of person that Teddy Hart is. That's
when I felt like you got his like what he's actually like.
Right. That's when you got, like, he's very selfish. And he's a narcissist, and you can tell that he's upset. The only reason he's upset is because people are putting them together. It's not because he feels bad that this person, who was a human being who had 3 kids, is disappeared.
Well, when they first walk into the gym, he's like, I hope we're not getting off track and making this about Samantha instead of about me and my reality show. I'm just like, you fucking scumbag, dude.
And he was, and that's the thing. The producer guy's like, well, we should definitely talk about it.
He's like, clear your name if you can just tell us something.
And he's like, oh, you're just wasting your time. You'll never find her.
Yeah, he was so convinced they're wasting their time. Yeah, they kept saying you'll never find her. Like, who says that? If you really don't know?
Yeah, that's the part I keep coming back to, where I'm like, I mean, that's a weird thing to say, like. But I don't want to.
Just got to watch it. So
yeah,
we're going in circles.
I don't want to close the show on a negative note, so we will close the show with the classic show of the week. Where, hey, if you've seen the show, you might consider it a negative note. I don't know, depends on where you were at the time. But my classic show of the week is Starrcade '97. Now, it is a controversial show to say the least. But it's really about the atmosphere and the build-up. It's Ted Turner's WCW era at its biggest. So if you watch that and do your homework, as they say, or as we say, turn the lights back or turn the lights down, get in the dark, and go back to 1997 and enjoy the show. I wanted to go over some of the matches here, okay? So opening match, we're going to have Dean Malenko versus Eddie Guerrero. I mean, you already, for the Cruiserweight title, you already know that's going to be a banger of a match. And then at some point, you have Buff Bagwell versus Lex Luger, which at the time, I'm not saying they're 5-star workers, but they were both, huge stars. You have Kurt Hennig versus Diamond Dallas Page for the U.S. title. And the big match of the evening. And I'm not going to say it's a 7-star Tokyo Dome match, all right? But it's Sting versus Hulk Hogan. It's for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. It is the first wrestling match that I ever saw that made me fall in love with wrestling. Now,
I watched their entrances for this today, actually.
There's some screwy stuff that happens in the match, but the build, like I was getting at when I first started talking about the build, is what makes you want to see it. They built this thing for a year. Sting didn't talk for a year. He stayed up in the rafters. He went from the colorful character to the Crow character, and this is his first real wrestling appearance. And I actually like the match personally, even with the Russo-esque finish, even though Russo wasn't there at the time. But I would watch it. It really just encapsulates WCW in its prime era. A lot of people, if you're a younger listener listening to our show, you might not be super familiar with Nitro or WCW Thunder or any of this stuff. So WCW, to make a long story short, for a short time, was even more popular than WWE in the mid to late 90s. A very short time, about 53 weeks, as Eric Bischoff would say. But I really recommend going back and watching this. It's kind of different. It's something, you'll be familiar with the names, but it's a different atmosphere, especially if you're not familiar with WCW. But that's going to wrap the show up. Thank you all so much for joining us for episode 66. And we can't wait to be back next week, talk all things pro wrestling. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a great week, and thank you for listening to us.